Players in the lobby adjusting their sound blockers as the countdown commences. All is quiet, all is calm in the booth. When the studio fans are going crazy. Life needs one more win to tie this up before we go into game number 5. The map is loaded, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go into Life versus Dream, game number 4.
That looked cool.
That was sick.
To the bottom right, we do have the player winning last game pretty convincingly. It is KT Life.
Like you said, no smiles until he gets another win.
3 wins, man. He needs to kill this nerd if he wants to smile again.
Up to the top right in blue. Dream, the Mannermuller.
He did it once. He
only did it once.
He's forever marked the Mannermuller.
He is the Mannermuller.
Bad.
I was like, wasn't that Bomber? Didn't he do that a lot? I'm like, no. It's Dream.
Yeah, man. There was some.
He did it once in a semifinals. He is now the Mannermuller.
No one does that anymore. And I think we will see a CC first from Dream. I'd be very surprised if we see otherwise. It is the map to do it.
Yeah, it's the freebie base backdoor.
Backdoor base, that is, yeah. Pretty much unkillable with it. From Life there, I think we will also see hatch first, greediness, lots and lots of greed. And look at that Overlord scouting. He's going to see everything. The moment that CC goes down, he's going to see it, and Life's going to go for a very fast third hatchery.
Going to be just pretty straight up, like, are you a magician or are you just a Grandmaster Zerg on Korea? Like, it's just happening exactly like you said, man. Where's your crystal ball? Where are you keeping it?
Boom, bada bing. He knows it. He sees it. Is he actually going to get a pool before hatchery is the next question I want to know. Is he going to get double hatch before pool? I'd love to see it. We've seen him do it before.
Well, you know, we've already seen Dream be so good at following up a CC first and aggressive play.
Oh, it is. It's going to be double hatch before pool. And he did this against someone on Catalina.
Just recently.
Maybe 1 or 2 weeks ago. And he crushed him with it.
Was it Cure?
It might have been, actually.
I think it might have been Cure.
All I remember was that evil smile that Life had when he did it.
Yeah, I remember this too. I might have even been commentating with you. I can't remember.
Yeah, you might have been.
But, okay. Well, like you said, everything just coming down step by step here. Bit of a slower roll up into this sort of early game here, since it's pure macro. That's kind of how Nimbus goes to start things off because of the freebie base.
Exactly. It's that pocket base that's going to give you so much time and protection. You don't really have to worry about too much on this map.
What do you think about this map in general? Are you know, what are you feeling about it? I mean, do you think it's a good map? Do you want it removed? I mean, for next season, for example.
I don't like where the 4th base is. Would be my biggest concern as a Zerg player. If I was purely looking at a Zerg, and I mean, it does favor Terran maybe a little too much as well, even against Protoss, because of just the dropping potential, the airspace around that pocket natural is so large. I'm kind of happy that it's phasing out a bit, I guess. I think this is maybe the last tournament that has it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's good for what it was. It made some interesting games, but I think it's lived its life at this
I actually
point.
forgot it was in the pool because in the early rounds of this tournament, it was banned in almost every single series.
Yeah, we're only seeing it because best of 7s and best of 5s at this point.
You know how I feel. I hate 4-player maps, so.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I hate 4-player maps. I just think it leads too much randomness. I'm okay with 3-player maps, so 4-player maps is just too much randomness.
Well, I mean, fixed position 4-player maps.
Fixed position 4-player maps are totally fine because it's basically like a 2-player map with 2 different starting locations that are equally balanced. So I'm totally okay with maps like that.
It's
like
fun.
Foxtrot, for example.
Yeah, it's a lot more fun, I think. It's bigger maps, bigger games, bigger potential, more space so the players can macro and go into those big mechanical games, which is I like to see a lot, especially in this matchup.
It's just I hated Frost so much because of the randomness of scouting. Like, if you got unlucky, you could get either really ahead if you got a good scout or really behind because you scouted late and got unlucky.
Well, that was just a horrible map in general, I think.
That's true.
I didn't like that map.
Well, we do see the 3rd CC come up here, and Life does scout it. And he's also going to be in a pretty good position to scout the Banshee follow-up. In fact, he's already seen it. So he knows everything that's up.
He knows it's the exact same kind of build from Dream. He's like, okay, we're dealing with this again. Life did go for a bit more of a greedier build, which did cost him the first 2 games, but this was like a super, super greedy build. So let's see if he can change it up and actually defend enough and get to those meters where he can do a lot of work.
Yeah.
Needs I think just a lot of queen production is really going to seal the deal for him. He's got to be careful of these Hellion run-bys as well, because this is the time that is the danger time where we saw him lose 16 drones, and I think it was game 2.
Cloak on the way. Queens all stacked together at that third base. Hellion sneaking around the left side. Nah, he's too close. He's too ready. The creep spread's good.
And he's looking for it.
He's looking for it, but there's lings at the top of the ramp, too. I think it'd be like a meat grinder death trap if you try to run up right now.
Yeah, unless he got like a good shot off and the lings just ran through. That'd be one possibility, but it's such a risk.
It's too risky. He's going to just kind of step back. First Banshee's ready. A few more Hellions are being rallied across now as well. Armory's almost done. And we all know what happens next with that.
Yep. And where is that Baneling Nest is the next question. We don't see it just yet, which makes me a little bit nervous.
That is somewhat alarming.
I mean, he can get away with it. He's going to put it down now in the pocket natural, but it's one thing to kind of be afraid of. But he does have a lot of queens, which is going to help out.
They were in such a good position to defend that Banshee. He's also got the Spore ready to help as well, so the Banshee has to go a long way around to actually attack another mineral line. So basically, it just can't. Looks like he's going to try to do the
and we're seeing
Banshee
mech.
twins.
We're seeing mech, by the
Oh,
way.
look at that.
Yeah, I just realized there's 2 factories in the production tab, so we are going to see mech. And Life, you know, he's going to identify this pretty quickly, because that's one danger Zerg has if they get the sort of the tech choice wrong of the Terran. And he goes for like the anti-bio sort of build, and he runs into mech. It's like, well, I'm just so far behind in upgrades, economy, and composition.
Yeah. +1's on the way already for those mech units as well.
Look how many lings we see. Life actually wants to kill right now. Look how many lings that is.
That's almost 60 lings, 58.
I mean, there's going to be Hellbats, which is the problem. Each one of these Hellions can turn into a Hellbat at any time. So Life's going to have to really find the connection with these Banelings and find the surrounds with these Zerglings.
It's actually just going to try to walk in here. Those lings at the top of the ramp are going to buy some more time for these queens to do damage, as well as that Spine Crawler. It's buying him a lot of time, actually.
Oh, can this actually happen? There's only 3 Hellions at the top of the ramp. 4.
Yeah. And actually, well, I don't know about this. I mean, he's going to lose all of his Banelings.
Good splitting.
Okay. Yeah, decent play. The Banshee here is really important. He needs to turn these into Hellbats once he can kill his Banelings. Oh, the SME's not helping out.
Oh, big hit.
They're making things worse. Banshee over here trying to work. Needs to target those Banelings, though. Hellbats do more. Meanwhile, back at home, 17 drones have gone down. A lot of larvae as well. This is actually going to turn out to be a pretty crazy game, Moonglade.
It's going to be pretty crazy, but I think Dream holds this,
I
man.
think he's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, what do you do with those? He loses a few more SCVs. He's still okay. It's just, there's too much answer for lings.
Look at the bank on Dream as well. He should be actually making stuff right now. He isn't supply blocked. He's just too busy microing the units he has. And Life is deflected completely. He's going to have to transition. He hasn't lost too much at home, so he can transition, but still, it's a bit of a messy situation.
It was I mean, at the end of the day, a fairly even trade, and he did get a lot of information about what Dream is doing. Now he knows he's up against mech. At the very least, he starts the range upgrades at his Evo chamber, and is starting to get prepared. 2 Thors on the way.
I don't think it's enough. I actually think Life is in a horrible position from here, because we're going to see that whole Banshee, Thor, Hellbat sort of attack across the map momentarily.
Oh, he's going to get a Banshee here. Small victory. But yeah, I mean, can he deal with that? He's spreading his creep like a madman right now down the middle of the map.
It's going to be a hard one.
Does he even have a Roach Warren right now?
He does have it. He's getting Roach speed right now. It's still got a long way to go, though. And he doesn't really have the units on the map either. He's starting to make Roaches now. He doesn't have a 4th base, which he should have against the mech player. But obviously, he scouted it just a little too late. And that Zergling Baneling attack did not do the damage he needed it to do.
Yeah. And he's up against a ton of Hellbats.
Oh, he's attacking the extractor there.
Well, a few Baneling hits go off on those Hellbats, but it's not really going to matter back at home. The creep spread is really good, and that's going to give him a lot of advanced warning. It's always going to allow him to fight on creep when this push starts to happen, but the bigger issue, like you said, is the lack of a 4th base. 4 Thors at a time. That's how much economy Dream has. That's how much bank you can actually expel here. And when you have this many Thors, actually, you can kind of fight Roaches with them without even having too many siege tanks to support them.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. With this many Thors, you can fight anything. essentially, except Broodlords maybe. But
sometimes you can fight Broodlords even.
if you have that many, like if you're fighting against Sue and you have like 10 3/3 Thors, sure, why not? But look at this army. Look how big it's getting already.
This base has to be canceled, and will he save the drone?
Yes.
Transfuses it even.
Nice. But I mean, yeah, you never want to be neck and neck in supply or even behind in supply against the mech player. You don't want to be on the same economy as the mech player ever, because the cost efficiency of them is just way too big. It is actually insane.
We're about to have 9 Thors on the map. Starting to push that creep back a little bit with the mobility of these Hellions. Infestation Pit is coming down here as he wants to get those Swarm hosts out. Just he doesn't have enough time.
He doesn't have enough time.
+2 is almost done for this mech army, which is at 1-1.
And he's even adding in a couple of tanks as well, you know, and that's just going to help out when dealing even more damage to these roaches.
Yeah,
there's not enough roaches. They don't have the upgrades.
It just adds a bunch of siege damage as well. When you get close to those buildings, you just set up your Thors in a good position where it's hard for the Zerg to attack into you, but you just keep hitting that siege damage on buildings. Any roaches that get too close, it makes it very difficult to engage. Bringing just the right amount of SCVs.
There's no answer for these Banshees. There isn't an answer for these guys either. And that is a problem we haven't even addressed yet. You know, he's got a whole ton of other problems. He's going to make a ton of Banelings and go for like the money sort of hits on these Hellbats and Thors. But I don't even know if that's going to be enough. There's a lot of roaches. He's going to have to go for that perfect engagement though.
All right, well, he's going to try for it. I mean, he has a good arc with his roaches here. And he is getting a few of these Thors down. A few Baneling hits at the front as well. Where are the siege tanks?
Wow, not too bad. He really needed those siege tanks, actually.
Where are they?
You might actually wipe everything out.
I don't understand why the siege tanks are not here.
Yeah, they
were back at home. Maybe they got stuck. Maybe the depot was stuck or something.
I'm not entirely sure. I think he left a bunch of units back at home.
Just in case of a counterattack, maybe?
Yeah, and it's going to help out for this situation, sure, but still, that is pretty awkward. You know, that shouldn't have happened the way it did. Maybe he should have waited for another, 25 supply and just brought those tanks with him so he can have that massive siege army. But fighting like that, like he did, bit of a throwaway. And maybe showing a little bit of inexperience with using mech.
Yeah, when you talked about it a lot earlier, we very rarely see this guy ever use mech. We didn't expect to see mech from him today. I expected we'd see it on Sejong, not on this map.
Yeah.
And that planetary going to finish it just in the nick of time to help deflect this roach attack. Actually, maybe not.
Yeah.
Just maybe barely not.
Well, he's going to have to restart it, but he will have enough there to kind of deflect it this time.
Well, this is given Life now time to get Swarm hosts out. He needs to make sure he doesn't take a page out of Sue's book when he fights this late game mech. Because that didn't go so well.
Yeah. And he got that 4th base up finally, but I mean, he's got the 4th the same time as Dream does. So they're still on equal economy. Live is ahead in supply by 30, but it is a lot of roaches, and that gets a lot more inefficient in time.
Yeah, roaches are against big mech armies. They almost feel like they're made of cardboard, not actually big Zerg carapace.
They just explode essentially. Yeah, they are essentially useless in maybe a few more minutes. When the mech is maxed out and that many tanks are there, you're not going to find much use for roaches unless you get blinding clouds off.
Pretty much like in 20-minute plus games in ZVT, no matter what the Terran's comp is, you're probably not going to want to have roaches against it. Well, he has a sensor tower up, which is going to help him against these roaches for the limited time left that these roaches are actually valuable. It's also going to kind of give him a little bit of a tip, a little bit of a heads up on which way the locusts are being rallied. And he's going to see these roaches. And so it's very difficult for Life to actually find a way to sneak in here. Few kills with those that wave of Swarm hosts, though, and that's, a small victory here again.
Yeah, that shouldn't have happened. He's going to have more than enough tanks soon enough, or he kind of does at this point, but they're really spread out to kill the Locust without any sort of damage being taken. Once these planetaries are up especially, you just won't take any more damage from them. But for now, going to lose a couple more tanks, I think.
The key is Ravens. He doesn't have very many yet. He's got one. He's about to have a second one. And Ravens are going to make these basically a moot point, these Swarm hosts. With all the PDDs they can drop, once you have enough of them, just makes the Swarm hosts unable to fire, or the Locust, I should say. But as it is, I mean, they're still able to do something here. Willing this army down little bit each time.
And we are seeing Swarmers kind of move forward. The attack point is going to be at these planetaries that are building. If you can focus them down before they finish, that's going to really open up this his bases for this Swarm host harassment.
Yep. PDD is starting to come into play here a little bit. Roach is trying to find a way to get in there, but they're not quite able to make it happen.
Next step I want to see is Broodlords. I think that's the next step for him because the Air Army is only just beginning to be made for Dream. No Vikings just yet, just Ravens. If he threw in some Broodlords at this point, there isn't really much to defend against him except for, the occasional Raven Seeker Missile and a couple of Thors.
Yeah.
It'd be a great time for it.
What do you think about these Infestors? It's going to be great against, like, say, if you catch a group of Hellions out in the middle of the map.
Yeah, I mean, it's good for the later game, especially when there is that massive sort of
Viking fleet.
Yeah, Viking fleet and Raven fleet. Like, once they're all bunched together, you get that money fungal. You really kind of reset the army and make the game a whole lot easier. At this point, though, I'm not sure if he's going to find much with it. We are seeing a lot of Vipers being added as well. He's going to be looking for those blinding clouds soon enough. It's like Life just throwing away roaches at this point.
Yeah, he doesn't want those in his supply anymore. It's taking up too much space. It looks like some Hellions are actually going to sneak over here to this 5th base. Actually, might catch an Infestor. I think that Infestor might be here for a little bit of defense, but was not looking at it at the right moment. Burrow not done yet, so he can't burrow those drones. These Queens are actually blocking Hellions out, but they're also blocking some drones there for just a second. And basically, this will eventually be cleaned up, but he's going to lose a few of his links here and maybe some drones.
Well, they're like 3-3 Hellions against 1-2 Lings, so the cost efficiency is real on these Hellions, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
I think they got like 30 kills all up or something.
If they were in Hellbat mode, that would have been even worse.
They just don't die ever. And there's simply too much here for the Locust to ever find anything. Life kind of just throwing things away, watching him, making sure he knows where the tanks are at the very least.
And we do see that Fusion Core about halfway done. And we have been seeing basically late game mech has, Terrans have figured out how to consistently use battle cruisers in this matchup now. It's a real thing. Like it's finally happened.
Oh,
BC
yeah.
fans.
It's definitely a thing. I know that about that. Nice fungal. He's gonna have to start setting up these tanks.
And they're not ready yet. Okay, they do finally siege up here. These Infestors are gonna eat some serious siege tank fire though if they stick around.
Oh, just simply too many siege tanks. He's throwing in some infested Terrans, but infested Terrans are just not what they were in Wings of Liberty.
You know what? He got a decent amount of kills there with the Blinding Cloud though. That went a lot better for him than I thought it was gonna go.
Yeah, I thought it was. I actually thought the Blinding Cloud would have been a little bit better, but it didn't get the back tanks. So Life still took a lot of damage for it.
I lost some of those expensive Infestors. But, almost like 25 army supply got wiped there for Dream. A lot of Lings. And there's a Blinding Cloud again, and a ton of Infested Terrans. He's rethinking this matchup for this versus Mech-Man with Infested Terrans.
Oh, man, he's trying. I mean, 0-0 Infested Terrans, man. Like, they don't get upgrades anymore.
They don't.
So they bounce. Their attacks are bouncing off the armor of these 4 armored Thor and siege tanks. You know what? They're doing like 1 damage a hit. 1 damage to a Thor. You're going to shoot him 400 times.
He's actually like getting so far pushed back with these Banshees now he has to unburrow his Swarm Host. And the CCs are starting to move across the map, taking over the map. It's interesting that Life is adding all these Lings into this mech versus mech Zerg army. It's quite unique.
It is. It's pretty interesting. He's not really found much traction with it. If we saw more Hellbats being added to the mix, I think they would be even less effective.
Yeah, maybe he's trying to abuse the fact that there's not that many Hellbats in this army.
Yeah, I like the idea of Ultras being added, especially if the Blinding Clouds get down, like really good Blinding Clouds, so there's not many attacking at all. And we are seeing a couple of Ultras added now. Gonna help out a little bit. Both sides getting maxed out at this point.
Yeah, they're both pretty much maxed here. We have a worker count of 59 only for Dream, and that may even decrease down to like 45 at some point.
It can go down to probably like 16 at this point, like there's not really much need for them when you got this many orbitals.
Yeah, he's actually going to try to take this base. I don't think it's quite time yet. I don't know. He's slowly pushing up, but this is...
Well, Life might be gearing up for something else here. We are going to see the Blinding Clouds come in, but that is some pretty spread tanks.
Oh, Blinding Clouds go down, actually, on this entire army. A ton of Infested Terrans coming in here as well, and he gets good fungals on those Vikings, and Infested Terrans with the Locust together are going to push this back. I feel like this is a bit too overzealous by Dream to come up here.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a little too far. Sieging up on creep, essentially, and now getting caught out for it. Now the Locusts are actually getting on top of tanks because there's not enough tanks anymore. I think Life may have found his way in. Up 50 supply at this point. He's going to be dealing with the other bases. He's trying to starve out Dream, and Dream is actually running out of bases as well. He's got only essentially 1.5 mining bases now. Yeah. And he's trading units still with Lucas.
I think trying to take this base I don't understand it, to be honest. I don't understand it, because he has a base to the left of the map that is not being attacked or contested or pressured, that has no SCVs mining at it. He could just send SCVs over there and let this position go. I understand his concern if Life controls the high ground here, then his Locust can push from further, but to try to force the issue over the orbital that can't even land. Okay, this base can't land. That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, it can't land currently, but here we go again. Lucas from one way, Ultras from the other.
This is just too much Zerg here, I think. And look at those blinding clouds, nullifying most of the siege tanks here.
Oh man, he's taking so much damage. Thors are getting wrecked. Blinding Cloud disappears, but still, it's not going to be enough. Well, actually, it might be enough now that he's retreated and regathered. Ultras start going down.
Yeah, there's no detection here, actually, looks like, so those Banshees are doing a lot. Plus, the Banshees do also have +3 armor. Makes the Infested Terrans have a little bit of a hard time finishing them off.
Oh, man.
The Manor Hatch, though!
I love it. Finally, Life's going to get some revenge. Yeah, he simply ran out of steam at this point. The tank count got reset too far. Swarmos are actually going to be doing damage now.
Well, he just lost too much. The momentum swung heavily into Life's favor. He can pretty much do whatever he wants at this point, except like just crashing into this army and losing all of his own, but I don't think he'll do that.
No, I don't think so.
He's got a comp that allows him to just continue to siege up. Finally, Dream does something with this Orville that's been on the left side of this map this entire time, but as soon as it moves it's seen, so Lings are going to go over there and counter it. You can actually see that on the mini-map right now. Those Lings are going over there to kill that base.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what they're going to do. Well, they're going to force it to lift. Scan's going down here. Trying to identify where those Ultralists are.
That is so many Infestors, by the way. That is 21 Infestors. That is so funny.
Well, there's another huge wave of Locusts. You can barely deal with that. The Infestors are just going to drop a ton of Infested Terrans again. Drop fungals all over everything.
The tanks are pretty spread out there this time, you know. Blinding Cloud isn't going to be as effective as he hoped to, but I don't think there's actually enough tanks anyway.
Yeah, I think that's the bigger issue here. Fungals on everything, as well as Blinding Cloud on almost the entire siege tank army. And it looks like the Zerg is losing a lot, but he's really not, because this is just Infested Terrans, which are free units, along with the Locusts, which are free units. And this is starting to look like it might be in just a moment a free game.
Yeah, free game. Life
ties it up, and the crowd chants his name.
He's still not happy. Two more games.
Still not happy, but the crowd is cheering for him. They are chanting his name. And what a crazy way to deal with mech. Very different than what we normally see, at least in 2015.
Yeah, that's a lot of... That was a fun sort of game to see. Using a good use of Infested Terrans, and man, he had 21 Infestors by the end there. Just constantly throwing free units at them, tying them up with Blinding Cloud, and trying to do the damage he can with Infested Terrans and Lucas. Eventually whittles him down.
Ooh, that was a rough game.
King Sejong Station going to be the next one.
I know, I do not think we're going to see mech after that game, but we could.
No,
it's still possible.
I don't think we are. I think that was his one mech game. He's like, well, I'm never doing that again.
Yeah, that's definitely not his strong suit, I think. So we did have a break after the last time when we went into this same sort of situation, because we actually had a 2-2 score in the last best of 7 as well. And let me stress this, guys. I'm like so excited. Let me stress this to you guys right now. This almost never happens in a best of 7. Almost never. Like out of I think in a best of 7 in the GSLs, I think out of like 19 GSL finals maybe we've had now, it's like only twice or 3 times the player who won the first game end up losing the best of 7. That's like one thing to keep in mind.
Right.
And you almost never have 2-2 scores. It usually swings way into the player who took the first game's favor very early on, because it's a long series. There's a lot of momentum that goes into this, and a lot of planning that goes in. And it's super high stakes, very stressful. So to see both of these series go 2-2 right away is a pretty rare and beautiful thing.
Well, I'm not too surprised either looking at these players. Like, we've got there's like 4 of the best players in the world right now, and they're just going head-to-head and showing these fantastic games. It's so back and forth. I mean, I think it's only going to get better. I think this one could go to the distance, actually. I think this one could go to Game 7.
It absolutely could, man. We're definitely going towards that right now. And we did see Dream get kind of demolished there. 2 games in a row, but with one game just not going his way, the second game using a style he's not as familiar with. And we are going to take a very short 3-minute break, guys, before we go into game number 5 on King Sejong Station. We'll see you then.